Yeah. What? I understand I got a lot on my mind, a lot on my chest. That's why.
What's going on, everybody? Lloyd Jones with Midnight Comics, and of course, the Indie Breakdown, the show where we break down your favorite indie comic book characters' power, stats, and abilities, and get them ready for Indie versus matchup. We got another awesome one for you guys today, as you saw it, Invictus versus Khosis. But of course, I'm not alone today. We got another awesome host. If you're gonna go ahead and introduce himself and all that good stuff.
What's up, everybody? I'm Power Maximus, one of the three hosts of the Super Breakdown, where we take your favorite comic book heroes, favorite blockbuster films, animated TV shows, anything pop culture from the 90s. We break them down and maybe give you a little what if of how we think it should be done. Because God knows what the way superheroing is going these days in mainstream. They need some fresh eyes like us. But yeah, unfortunately, everyone's favorite demigod, Lord Triage, cannot make it tonight, but he will be on the next show as well. So tune in for everyone's favorite demigod and some awesome Triage rants. But like Lloyd said, Invictus versus Khosis. This is going to be a good one. It's
Oh
gonna be
yeah,
a
oh
good
yeah.
one. Oh man.
Now,
So go ahead.
we did see in the chat when this match was posted that both gentlemen definitely respect each other, so it wasn't a lot of trash talking. As a matter of fact, it was mention of a pact that was made. Unfortunately, the gods of the indie breakdown have spoken, and this battle is still going down. Just based, of course, not on the trash talking per se that took place, but based on what they said on the cards, because all the cards on the database have been provided by the creators themselves. So that is the law. Whatever is on there, that's all we can use. Nothing extra, nothing more. Not what they will do, but what they can do based on the intel provided.
Now with these, is there any side information that we needed on any of these characters, on any further like explanation on how certain powers are actually work? Because I know
Unfortunately,
there's
this
one
time
I'm
around,
no.
we are on limited intel. So there are some that I have questions about as well. Now, I do know more about Kosis than I do Invictus. So if you had a question about Kosis, I have slightly more intel that might be on the card. We did end up doing a breakdown on the character, so we can dive a little deeper into what he could do for sure.
All right, definitely. So Invictus is Dre. So Dre, hurry up, hop in because I got questions. I got questions. I got a lot of questions, man. Um, but no, this is going to be awesome. It's going to be a great one. What do you say we get on into it?
Let's do it. So, um, I'll start with. I'll go ahead and do Kosis if you want to do Invictus really quick. I'll share my screen and showcase the lovely database for the character specifically. Of course, like I said, Kosis. So here we go. Here is the character Kosis, of course, created by Trey Williams. You can follow him on IG at only Kosis. And so let's dive in. So yes, he's a hero, and based on the description on the front, he can massively boost his abilities with the form called the manic state. Now, in my haste to do this, I did forget to pull up, of course, the actual power sheet that we utilize here at the Indie Breakdown. Of
Oh, that's
course,
perfectly
all that
fine.
you'll see here is the tier system, and the power stats were designed by Haiku and based on the original tier sheet created by Tavis Cardenas. Just really want to continue shouting both of them out. Thank you guys for what you guys have done and contributed to this. As you guys have seen on here in regards to, and you guys should still be able to see my screen with Kosis on it. He is got that one circle with the purple in there. So as we've learned, that means he is a tier one, but not only is tier one, he's 1A. So based on that, that means this character transcends dimensional limitations beyond scientific or supernatural definition. So these guys are one step from literally complete omnipotence. Okay. So
Hmm.
I know he don't look like God essentially, but again, these characters will definitely surprise you with the abilities that they can do. So we're gonna go down the list as per normal. Let's get into it. So strength, he sits at a 7, which puts him at can lift 100 tons plus. So definitely up there regards to strength.
Hmm.
Only thing would be multi megatons would be above that. Next up, in regards to intelligence, he sits at a 4, so gifted, right? We have seen smarter characters in here, but gifted isn't bad in the least bit. In regards to his speed, he sits at a 4, so he's got speed of sound up to Mach 1. And again, although you're like, wait a second, if he's like extra dimensional, these stats feel really low. Don't worry, we're going to dive into those abilities, and it's all going to make sense in a second. Next,
Mm-hmm.
we have the durability. Durability sits at a 6, so he could withstand poisons, extreme temperatures, and concussive attacks. And then we have his agility, which I went to Invictus, sorry. His agility sits at a 7. So with that, that means he is relativistic, so he can react to and move near the speed of light. Then his energy projection sits at a lovely 5, which again, not too bad, not too, not the greatest, right? But long
Mm-hmm.
range and duration, single energy. So only a single type of energy he's able to control. Um, at base, if you would. And then his fighting ability is a 5, master of a single form of combat. Now, again, we just said this guy's an extra dimensional character, right? This is one step from tier 0, complete omnipotence, aka the gods of people's universes, right? But when we dive in to his powers down below, he's got intangibility, right? Accelerated healing factor, kinetic energy manipulation, mimicry, and lottery power, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
what exactly is that, right? And we give a hint at the bottom, right, in regards to the manic state. Within the manic state, which think of it as almost a transformation, if you would, it's not a manic state in the sense of he goes crazy or anything like that. The manic state saps energy from his soul, and being that he's what's called a zodian. So he's not human. Let's scratch that really quick. He's not human. He's what's called a zodian. So they have a much longer lifespan, and a lot of energy in their reserve. So in that manic state, it does sap from this life force, if you would, but it greatly increases the power, which, as stated, every stat automatically goes up to 8. So if you don't mind, I'll dive into the what 8 means for each one, and then
Mm-hmm.
dive into a little bit of those powers before you get into Invictus.
No,
So
absolutely. Go ahead.
so, of course, with strength, we mentioned a little while ago, he's able to lift multi megatons if he's an 8. Again, all the stats for him is an 8 within the manic state. He possesses limitless speed. He is now, in regards to intelligence, omniscient. He has unlimited knowledge of combat. He would have, or rather, would not be able to be physically harmed. He has absolute control over all energy in the multiverse and is reality breaking and can exist in multiple places at once and move when time is frozen. So whatever powers and abilities that he already had, but excuse me, all of his power stats that he already had is heightened to 8. And then, of course, in regards to mimicry, he can copy the abilities of his opponents. Now, on top of that, talking about the lottery power, we could dive more into the mimicry in a second. With lottery power, based on the information that we had from the breakdown that we did on his character a while back, when he goes into the manic state, he also develops a power, much like the lottery, at random, right? So, take a conversation, right? You don't see flight on there, right? But if he goes into the manic state, there's a chance that he could fly, right? There's a chance that he could, use X-Men as an example. He could pop claws, right? He could control the weather. Like it's lottery, it's random. So he does when he goes to the manic state, he's able to one ability he'll get added to his list of powers and abilities. But naturally, again, intangibility, accelerated healing factor, kinetic energy manipulation. If you need an example, that thing. And again, if y'all any one of you guys are in there and we missed something or anything of that nature, please let us know. Khosis, I see that you're watching via the Instagram, so definitely drop any additional knowledge if you can as it relates to that if it's still live. There, of course, visit the Facebook or anything like that if you have any issues there. But
Mm-hmm.
and I say that because it actually closed out for me on the Instagram, so I don't know. I don't know if you can still see it. But yeah, so essentially, yeah, with the kinetic energy manipulation, it's almost like well, we see examples of it, right? Where you see like rockets, not rocket, but like the energy that he's able, like on Black Panther's suit, right? How he's able to absorb that energy and utilize that, except more than just expelling it, but actually controlling that, right? You could see the kinetic energy kind of illuminating out of his eyes, right? He's able to harness that within his hands, those type of things. So I was actually, yeah, I was going to use Rocket as an example, but I was thinking that she used kinetic energy, but it was really inertia that she's utilizing with that belt. But again, I think the vibranium example, how it's able to
Mm-hmm.
exert the energy and be able to convert it for his usage, but instead of simply just expelling it as a blast, he's able to utilize it and harness it as what he sees fit, not just kind of an immediate reaction. So again, not a lot in terms of list of powers, but the possibilities when it comes to this character are
Mm-hmm.
endless. Again, with that mimicry ability. Now, if I remember correctly, if it's a character that gets the ability, say like a Green Lantern, he would not be able to mimic the Green Lantern, but he would be able to mimic a Superman, right? So that's
So
that's
that's like any. So if there's a item that
mhm,
offers them the ability, so he wouldn't be able to mimic any. He wouldn't be able to mimic someone like Vixen, who gets her power from her
right.
amulet, or shout out to Ronald Martin at Ronnie Creates Radical Comics, where with the All Star, he gets his power from the All Star. You wouldn't be able to mimic anybody who gets power bestowed upon them via some extra item.
Right. Right,
All right.
exactly that. So
Okay.
that's it for him at the moment. That's
Mm.
it for him at the moment. But again, whatever Invictus has got, you know what I'm saying? That's probably what we're going to be running into as it relates to
Mhm.
Khosis. So yeah, so we could dive right into him. I'll stop share really quick as you dive into the one and only Invictus.
All right. So quick, I want to give a shout out to everyone watching on Twitch right now. Shout out to Smoke U14, Teamsters. Shout out to the best Nieva and One Woe 14. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is the Indie Breakdown X Super Breakdown. We are where we break down your favorite indie comic books, power stats, and abilities. All right. So we got Invictus here. Look at this man. Is just monstering. He definitely gives me
Well,
anti-monitor vibes.
mm-hmm.
Heavy anti-monitor vibes. So let's see. The nigh omnipotent former member of the cosmic, how do you say that?
Oligarchy.
Oligarchy, yeah. Um, yeah. And then as you can see, he is one purple dot, which means he is what? 1A?
Extra dimensional. Yep.
1A extra dimensional. Uh, let's see here. So moving over to his power stats, this man is standing at an 8 overall, except for his fight ability, where he is sitting at a 5, which is on the same par as Khosis, which is a master of a single form of combat. But so let's run over it real quick. Strength, lift, multi megatons. We're looking at his intelligence, omnipotent, durability, cannot be physically harmed. His agility, reality breaking, can exist in multiple places at once and move when time is frozen. Uh, Same thing, rocking with an 8 on his energy projection, absolute control of all energy in the multiverse. And then his speed is possessing limitless speed. This guy is an absolute monster with a 5 for that single form of combat. This He's just an absolute monster here of a character.
Yeah.
And
If I could
again,
comment, that's going to be a problem for in regards to the combat situation because, well, let me not get ahead of myself. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Thinking about it. Let me revert back here.
no, it's
Hold me
all
gone.
good. It's all good. And again, as we can see at the bottom here, if you guys tuned into our the last episode we did, you see that little name there at the bottom? Me and this man gonna have to have a conversation about why is he making characters that are this damn broken? If you paid attention to the last episode, the bug problem, where we had a group of 4 heroes going against one villain, Argon Krill. That man was an
Hmm.
absolute monster. We end up seeing one hero, the Verdant
The
Mother,
verdant mother. Yep.
pretty much solo this man. And they won the battle, but they may not have won the war. Uh, Stay tuned, yet to come. But this Dre Burke, man, we need to talk. You are a true villain, man. True, a true villain.
We
But
got questions.
yeah, so let's take a look at his equipment. Ether manipulation and consumption. So I got questions about that. Is this kind of
Hmm.
essentially like his power source, like how Galactus has to eat planets in order to, keep energy going? So that's really it's just like kind of like what powers him. But now it's
Right.
the powers, this reality warping, matter and antimatter manipulation and consumption, cosmic abilities, size manipulation, dimensional travel, universe absorption, power disruption, energy manipulation, energy absorption, energy construct creation that feeds on the ethereal energies, power bestowal, and like we said before, the ether manipulation and consumption. Wow,
Yeah, that's heavy.
that's
That's So here's the question, right? And
mhm,
again, when it came to these database things, if anybody that's tuning in or what have you, when people submit to their database, right, there's a Google form. And so in equipment, in powers, that's where they place this information or what have you. So, to alleviate any confusion, we copy and paste. But here's my thing in regards to Khosis, right? Against a powerhouse like this. If there's a piece of equipment that Invictus utilizes to manipulate the ether and consume it, then Kosis doesn't stand a chance, right?
mhm,
But if this is not equipment, I'm wondering is because they're both technically on the same tier on the database.
mhm.
So are they even? Would he be able to pull the powers, the exact same powers from Invictus? And I want to know, and again, they're not here, but I'm curious. I wonder if the reality warping abilities of Invictus would prevent Kosis from being able to utilize said abilities because he could just say, you know what I mean? Like, nah, I'm changing reality to where this can't happen, right? What level of reality warping are we talking about? Are we
Mm.
talking about a no more mutant situation? Are we talking about, you know what I mean? Like, how deep does
Yeah.
it go?
Are we speaking like Monarch, the Marquis of Death kind of situation where he literally
Right.
is omnipotent? He can literally be everywhere at once, whenever he wants, however he wants. Franklin Richards style. How
Hmm.
is this moving? So that's yeah. Or what's his name? Mr. McPiddlix or whatever his name is from Superman.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. So that they each have like varying like levels of reality manipulation, or is it reality stone style where it's just whatever it is that you want exists?
Now, after going back through the powers, because at first I was like, oh, yeah, well, with him being at a five, he's only a single form of compound. He doesn't level up. But Kosis has to get there.
Yeah.
Kosis has to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Is Invictus a character that's going to allow that to happen? Is he a traditional villain where he is going to monologue, right? Where he's going to
Mm-hmm.
say, wait, this should copy Conquest, right? Prepare for my arrival, right? Like I am here
Mm-hmm.
almost, right? He doesn't look like the type. He looks
Yeah.
like he's here for a purpose. You're in his way. He's getting you out the way.
Yeah. Yeah. He definitely he seems more like a damn, I just had the character in my head, but nah, he definitely doesn't seem like, and again, this is where when you're creating the character, the personality character really comes into play in situations
Hmm.
like this. Or is he? Oh, that's what. Or is he like a Goku, who, if he's fighting somebody, he wants to fight somebody. You know, this person that
Right.
he's fighting is going to be. He's going to make sure they're at their peak when he fights them. You know, is he? You know, everyone thinks I'm a hero, but in reality, I just like to fight.
Just like
You
the
know what I'm
fight.
saying?
Right.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. Just off the image, he looks like Galactus. Galactus level. I've come to eat your planet. Who won't
The
stop me?
end.
Yeah, in the story.
I
You can
do
try.
have the video prepped for Kosis to plead his case a little bit more.
All right, yeah.
Um, but Power, I don't know, bro. At first it was like, this is gonna be a back and forth, but power disruption kind of nips the manic state in the bud,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because if he could disrupt that ability, that power, because it's not even a state of mind in the sense that it is for us, right? It's not like a any type of mental kind of situation per se. It's like, and again, Trey, if you're out there, correct us if we're wrong, and I'm going to play the video in a second. So if I'm forgetting something, we'll be reminded. but it's almost a transformative state, right? And as with anything, or with most forms of media, when it comes to transformation, that's just a power system, right? Or a part of a
Yeah.
power system. So with something called power disruption, my assumption is, you know, we just pretty much ain't trigrammed your ability to do that, and they're going to be able to prevent that from happening.
Hmm.
Oh, you know what? It's not disruption. I need to do better at reading. It's called power distribution.
Distribution.
Disregard.
Ooh.
Distribution. I promise I
No,
know how to
no,
read.
I see. I can't speak for myself. I
But
can't speak for my.
he's able to manipulate energy. So same concern.
Yeah.
Because if we're talking about the kinetic energy that's kind of exuding and emanating from his body, he then can still manipulate that and absorb that. So the energy that you have, the multiversal energy that you're able to use, all the forms of the energy in the multiverse that you're able to use, he too is able to manipulate and absorb that. So
So,
anyway,
but
we'll play
here's
the
the.
video.
Oh yeah. All right. So there's just
Oh,
one
no,
more.
what were you gonna say?
Yeah. So even with all the levels of manipulation he has, with that, as we said recently, with that manic state, it feeds off of his life force on the internally, right?
Right,
Technically, wouldn't he be
right.
able to manipulate that and be like, yeah, stop that shit? No.
Yeah, yeah. Technically.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
this is starting to feel a little bit more cut and dry than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, yeah. We only
Um,
23 minutes into the show.
yeah. All
All right.
right. So I will share really quick. Hopefully, there's something in this video for the boy. Uh, that'll save him. Here we go. Here is here is more on Khosis.
Is a zodiac, with the zodians being what we would call zodiacs. Being born during the perfect alignment of the Gemini stars,
Can
Khosis
y'all
not
hear it?
only bears the alignment of the stars on his back, but also takes on the powers and personality traits of the Gemini being, with the Gemini being the most unpredictable of them all. Khosis is equipped with some insane abilities. He has enough strength to drag a cargo ship by its anchor. He can also fly at Mach 1 and is able to fight for weeks without getting tired and is able to withstand psychic attacks. By vibrating, he's able to become intangible and he has enhanced reflexes, allowing him to dodge so quickly he becomes invisible to his opponent. Khosis can jump over a kilometer into the air and has accelerated healing factor, and due to his DNA, can live up to 500 years. Remember when we brought up the unpredictable nature of the Gemini? This manifests into what's called his manic state. The manic state grants him additional abilities like kinetic energy manipulation, which causes his life force and kinetic energy to intertwine, creating an aura around his fists and eyes. This allows him to enhance his physical strikes and also allows him to fire explosive beams of energy. He also gains a mimicry ability, allowing him to copy the abilities of his opponent, making it his own just by staring at them. This ability is dangerous because his opponent's entire repertoire of techniques becomes his for the duration of this manic state. Not only can he mimic others' abilities, due to him being a Zodian, he's able to manifest new abilities on the fly. His manic state is derived from his mental illness, specifically his bipolar disorder. However, due to his Zodian heritage, this state can be controlled, meaning he can turn it on and off. And if you think that's crazy, well, each of his stats are increased infinitely while in the manic state, meaning that he can do everything you can do, just better. So, even if you're the host of the gods, the son of the supreme, the destroyer, none can stand before the power of the Gemini, made man, Khosis.
Hmm.
So so two things then. One, although yes, I guess I did forget about he does have a bipolar disorder, what have you. But I did forget that the he can copy the abilities just by staring, but that doesn't give him the experience with the abilities. So it's like he could do it, he could do it,
Hmm.
right?
And
Yeah, it's almost like
from
Kakashi staring at a tail, the 10 tails. Like, yeah, sure, I seen the ability, but he ain't pulling out a tail beast bomb. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's a bit concerning
So,
there for him in that case.
but then on top of that, it also is the mimicry and the lottery power. From what I heard, is tied into the manic state. So he can
Correct.
only use those once he's in that manic state.
Right. And so why, would he automatically turn that on is the question, especially depending on the size manipulation of of Invictus, would Invictus appear as what he is, or again, random encounter. He's not
Mhm.
necessarily prepared for battle, so he doesn't need to be his most intimidating self either. Um, that's a tough
No.
one. There's one that's always ready, and there's one that can't get ready, right?
Mhm.
So,
So
um,
it's interesting
mm,
because when it comes to Invictus, I keep going back to Galactus,
yeah,
with that, especially with that size manipulation. So the thing about Galactus is he can be whatever size he wants to be. As we see in the recent, Fantastic Four trailer, he's pretty much the size of a skyscraper as a Godzilla walking the streets kind of
hmm
situation. But then in other iterations, we see him hovering over the entirety of the planet.
looking like
Um,
Airshim from the Eternals.
exactly. So, but one thing that I learned about Galactus is he's an omnipotent being to the point where he appears however it is the person looking at him is.
Perceives them, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So if you're a human and you're looking at Galactus, he's gonna have look human. But
hmm
if you're a Kree or a Skrull or a different being, he's gonna look like he's your race. Like
Right.
like if when Hulk looks at Galactus, he sees a Hulk Galactus.
hmm
So I'm
Yes.
interested if that's like kind of like the same situation here. Is it's based off your perception of him, how you perceive him.
hmm
Hmm.
Which, speaking of that, and I know Pantheon is also Dre's character. When we're talking about perception, I know that's part of Pantheon's skill set. Like how that exactly what you just described about Galactus is essentially the case with Pantheon, right? So I bring that up to say if that was going to be part of his skill set, based on another character that Dre has, Pantheon in the database, he had included that. So I don't think so in this case.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so in this case in regards to that. But again, with this host of abilities here, because cosmic abilities is very broad, right?
Mm-hmm.
What all does that include, right? But I just overall, man, if I'm being completely honest,
It's not. Yeah. It's not. It's not. It does. It's not swinging in the favor of Khosis. But again, I feel like you also have to bring in fight IQ as well. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I feel like characters that are on this level can sense like the ability
mm-hmm.
of, or at least that strength level. Oh, it's over 9,000 type of thing going
No
on.
scout included.
Yeah, yeah, like built-in scouter. So I'm pretty sure if Khosis is chilling there, if Vixus pops up, he gonna be like, "Oh, this some shit.
hmm
This some shit
So
right
let's
here.
go
I
with that
need to."
assumption then. Yeah,
Yeah.
so let's go with that assumption. He senses him, he sees him, he appears on. Where do we have them fighting at? Oh goodness. Um, I almost said Krakoa, but that's a different matchup. Where do we have them fighting at? I'm gonna scroll back to the graphic for them really quick.
Oh, damn, no. Where is that?
It's I swear it's hiding in plain sight. Here we go. Asteroid M. So they're on Asteroid M.
Okay.
Um, so even better scenario. Coast is on Asteroid M. Don't ask why, people. Just know he's on Asteroid M. Invictus shows up. Coast senses this guy. He goes into the manic state immediately. And again, we do have an age now. He can live up to 500 years. But the manic state pulls from his life energy and the kinetic energy to create that aura to give him the ability to utilize those energy, that energy and stuff. So it is pulling from his life force as
So this
well.
is so Manic State. So I just thought about it. Manic State is like it's like Kaioken.
Exactly like Kaioken, except instead of a 2 times, 10 times, 50 times, infinitely. But based on what we have in the database, as far high as you can go is 8.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that we read out a second ago. So he's dangerous. He's dangerous. But is it enough? Is it enough for Invictus? That's the question.
Yeah. And
But then
again,
you said the fight IQ is absolutely important.
yeah, majorly. So, but if he has that level of experience already off rip, and he knows that his manic state is kind of like that thing that can get him where he needs to be, like
hmm
they're on Astro M. He doesn't see Invictus yet, but he knows he's there.
He
He can
knows he's
feel
coming.
him. So
hmm
he's like, boom, manic state off rip. This guy's a problem. Whoa. Like, if you think about it, those of you who watch Bleach, you feel
Yes,
a strong
spiritual pressure.
spiritual pressure before you see them, as it was with Kenpachi Zaraki. You feel it before you see him.
Right.
So at this point, he's like, all right, boom, we gotta go. Shoots
Now,
off,
here's the problem. Oh.
searches. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll remember. I'll remember.
All right. So boom, Manic State shoots off to go find him. He understands that this person is a major level threat for whatever mission he happened to be on Asteroid M. Now mind you, he has to see the person in order to mimic their abilities. So at this point, he's just riding cannon straight. And I'm pretty sure Invictus, being omnipotent, is like, oh,
He knows.
somebody's coming. Somebody's coming. So and again, I really feel like that personality means a lot in this situation.
From these characters that we've seen, right? Because in regards to his age, you look at Khosis' age, he's 25, right? Invictus has been around to be a part of the cosmic oligarchy, right? He's been around. One could assume, right? It's not on the card, right? But one could assume he predates most life in the universe. We can kind of generally, talk about the age of the universe, but we don't have an age for this being. He predates quite a bit. He's been around long enough for there to have been a creation of a cosmic oligarchy, right? So when we talk about personality of, the wisdom, right? How long these characters have been around for, what they've experienced. He feels like a character that really ain't got time to be playing games with nobody, right? He's like, somebody dare try to challenge me, and then it's done. I think about, again, massive difference in power scaling, but comparable in regards to how effective I suppose Khosis would be in this fight. I think about the ending of Watchmen, the movie. Rorschach and Dr. Manhattan, a wave of his hand, and it was over. Outside of his relationship with them because of their history, at any point he could have just said, we're done here. At any point. And I feel like, again, with Invictus being millennia's eternity, if you would, older than, right? I feel like in this case it would kind of be very similar, where it's just like, did a mere ant try to challenge me? And it probably wouldn't even be a pride thing. It would just be like, and then he continues on his way. Not to discount Khosis, because 90% of the characters that are on the Nexus side of things, based on just the tier, don't hold a candle, right? They don't hold a candle because they're not getting to those upper echelons. But unfortunately, right, he got paired against somebody again that has that more experience, and that the amount of abilities that he has is ridiculous.
To be devil's advocate here, it could also go the other way as well. He's so old, he's been around the block for eternities. He could be just sitting there waiting for somebody strong enough. It could be the complete opposite of, you know what, I'm tired, ain't nobody, conquest style, from Invincible. You know what, I've been around for so long, I've been doing the damn thing for so long, and ain't nobody been able to stand up against me. But now he's sitting here in this random universe on a random asteroid, and since it's somebody go from 0 to 100,
right? Curiosity gets him.
So now he's like, hold on. You just went from 0 to 100 in a blink of an eye, and now
you can use my abilities.
Well, he doesn't know that yet. He doesn't know that yet. But what he does know is that this being went from being an ant to now being on par with me on a power level wise. So it's like, he's like, okay, you got the power. Let's see what you can do with it. It could be that situation too, where now he's interested.
Okay, I like that route. But see, then it turns into, in my head, right? My head canon, right? It turns into Beerus versus Goku.
Yes.
First time, right? Or Battle of Gods, right? Where, it's like, this is interesting. I'm impressed. I might not kill you. I'm bored now. Because you're still learning, but I'll come back and fight you. But then
Hmm.
you don't know what you're doing yet. But I see that you could use my abilities, right? Can you eventually master these abilities that maybe I can help you learn, right?
Hmm.
But is but again, we don't know enough about Invictus. So Dre, if you're watching this now or in the future and stuff like that, please comment and let us know what is the mindset of Invictus, because that plays a major role here
Hmm. And
in regards to that. Because if
is
it's
he labeled a
anti-modern
hero
stuff,
or a
he's cooked.
villain?
Is he a hero or villain? That should be on the front. If he is, he's a villain. Never mind.
Villain. All right.
There's
Yeah.
no. See, Beerus was just an antagonist. He was not a
Hmm.
villain, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
he in
Yeah.
this case, then he going for
Mm,
in my opinion, then he going for the kill.
yeah.
He's just like,
He might play with him a little bit, but in the
said,
end,
this is
he's
the
like, all
best
right.
fight I've had in a while. Too bad.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think he
Mhm.
might let it drag out as long as he can and just be like, just to have that thrill to fight. But once he
Mhm.
starts seeing Khosis start wearing down, that manic state start to really wear into him a little bit. Because that manic clearly it draws from his life force. He's only 27. He could
Right.
live up to 500. It's also you got to think about the rate of consumption of the force, which means it's probably a situation where the longer he has it, it's at a sustained
Mhm.
draw on his life force. But
Right.
when he starts to exert himself, that level of consumption goes up.
Goes up. Yeah.
That's what I can see. That's the only thing I can think of within that, because that's how it normally goes within other power scale
Mhm.
throughout comics and anime and manga. But so he's limited. He is limited at as
Yeah.
far as he can go, and will only have the powers of Invictus as long as that manic state is in
Active.
effect.
Right.
So he's limited. He's limited.
Yeah.
Mm.
So on paper, of course, we don't have personalities intact. In our assumptions of the personalities and just one to one, right? Just stat card. Who you calling?
No personality involved, just looking at the stat card. Invictus with a wave of his hand, even if Khosis is in his manic state
Next
with
day.
mimicry. Only he'll. I mean, I'm pretty sure he does have an ex machina up his sleeve with the lottery power as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
let's also not forget that. But I feel like that is it's so random that it would have to
Mm-hmm.
be an ex machina.
Right.
It'd
Because
have to be the
that
last ditch.
literally, because it would have sucked if all of a sudden his random power is Buddy's power from My Hero Vigilantes, right? Just slip and slide. You know what I mean? Like
He
that's
gets
garbage, right?
tape shooters out of his elbows.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's a MacGuffin in and of itself, right? Or like you said, an ex machina. So
Hmm.
uh, ah,
He would like, what power would he have to get in order to turn the tide in his favor?
mm, mm, literal death inducement, maybe.
Like just a kill button, kill switch.
Just a kill button. Just I am death, and wave of his hand disintegrates everything that he is.
Hmm.
Right.
Because
But like outside of that, again, with reality warping, um, matter and antimatter manipulation, he can just reconstruct himself, right?
hmm
And however
I
much
mean,
energy that takes, right? But if you have something that literally just, well, it depends on the definition of death. I just imagine that, a death inducement is just like everything. Well, the assumption is everything dies eventually. So even if you try to reconstruct and stuff like that,
he
it's
can just
getting
put
rid
him
of
in
the
a
very essence of what is, right?
yeah. He can put him in a
Um,
constant death loop.
right. So all you can do is just try to reconstitute your body, but
Mm.
but then the big question then begs is, would reality warping be able to cancel that out, or is there a limit?
Yeah,
Right.
that's the other question I had too. So how does two reality warping characters, how do they fight? You know what I mean? Is it like
Mm-hmm.
whoever it's like if it's like 10 paces in turn type of situation, whoever gets it off first wins, because
Right.
I'm pretty sure once you're no longer in existence,
Mm-hmm.
you no longer have the ability to use that power.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
that would have to, it would
That would need to be
literally,
expounded on. That
yeah, it
would
would
need to
need,
be
that's
expounded
the
on.
only thing I think of is 10 paces and turn. You know what I mean?
Right.
Quick draw. I see you at sundown. You know,
Right. What son?
yeah.
You know what I mean? You know. Um, I think personally, again, card to card,
hmm
Invictus low div, right? Less
hmm
than low div. Personality's intact though. I like the scenario. Again, assumed personality's intact, right? He's a villain. He's been around for a long time, exactly like you said. He's not going to take the fight seriously. But then when he sees or senses the energy, there will be a level of interest. He will let that go. But by letting that go, it'll give Kosis that amount of time. Because again, if he's just able to stare at somebody and have their powers, that means that there is going to be a level of understanding to their repertoire based on what the information was provided via the video, which again is information provided directly from the creators, right? And so he would have an understanding on how to utilize the abilities, but now it's a level of, hey, we're canceling each other out. But the still the upper hand is he might understand the abilities and be able to use them effectively, but the experience of Invictus will still overcome. But I even think about, and you'll see this in several shows, right? Not Naruto and his nine-tailed fox state. It's very dangerous when it was, when he didn't have the, not even talk about just the, when they were fighting Madara and stuff, he had control. He didn't have control like when he's fighting Pain and anybody prior to that. It
hmm
was still very much dangerous. It was still something like, oh man, you gotta get this under control, right? I think about the grade 8 forms, right? Like, sure, Gohan's not as strong as Vegeta, but once he went to that grade 8 form, force to be reckoned with, right?
hmm
Like this uncontrolled power, and I imagine that's the case with Kosis. He would be this uncontrolled power, not in regards to mental state, but this lack of true understanding of how to utilize the abilities
hmm
that would interest and temporarily put Invictus on the back foot. So I would say mid diff would still go to Invictus, but it just depends on that personality, on how long he would let that go. But again, that experience for however many eons or millennia he's been around will eventually kick in and be like, all right, that's cute. Appreciate you. Let's go ahead and nip this in the bud at this point.
hmm Mm. And then at the end of it, it begs the question: is he just going to let him live by just like putting him in like a suspended state or something like that, and be like, I'll see you soon until he's done doing what he got to do, leaves that universe, and now Coast is sitting there with egg on his face, like, oh damn, or she's
Mm.
gonna Thanos it and snap him out.
To what I'll say to honor what they said about their pact, I will say he lets them live. I say
Yeah.
he would let Kosis live for the sake of, allow, hubris, if you would, maybe,
hmm
maybe wanting to see how far he grows. Maybe it's like, hey, somebody that might be able to push me or what have you. I'm still the greatest, right? I'm still
hmm
him. But you know
hmm
what? I'm curious to see how far I can go. So I'll keep you around just to test myself every now and then.
I'll see you in another 100 years on
I'll
some
see you in
Sandman
another 100
stuff.
years.
We'll meet every 100 years. I see you.
Mm,
Don't die.
right. Don't die.
I'll
Get
bring her
better.
ass back.
See you soon. Right. Facts. Reality warping. You're back. Come on through. So
hmm
yeah, I think that's are we satisfied with this? Or is this the response? Mid diff if assumed personalities are intact, and low diff Invictus with no personality, just card for card.
Yeah, low diff is definitely either. No matter what it is, I feel like it's Invictus. No matter
Yeah.
what in this one, yeah. Or going into it, reading the stat cards off. There's some. I think me and you were in the same place. Like, oh, okay, this
This
finna
could be
be
good.
interesting. But then when you really start breaking it down, which is what we do and why we are here,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't break down in the favor of Kosis.
It
Like
doesn't.
it'll probably be an insane battle, crazy reality breaking. They punch each other's knuckles, and then you see a crack in the middle of the air type stuff,
Right.
like
Can you imagine a literal
Whitebeard.
crack in space time? Literal cracks. in space.
For One Piece lovers, who was, I think it was Whitebeard. I think it was Whitebeard who literally he did something and it like literally the reality behind him cracked and broke.
I didn't know they
Yeah,
was running like that in One Piece. Yes.
yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. My One Piece lovers, by all means, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't watch One Piece. Haven't watched One Piece. That's something
Look,
I'll probably do when I
controversy in the
get 80.
breakdown group. I ain't even watch it, bro. I ain't even gonna hold you.
And then again, nothing against it. Still feel like it holds up. It's just not for me. If I caught it in the beginning, maybe. But no, I just feel like, or even then, situation like Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. They finally make Mandy smile.
Yes. You fool! You've destroyed the natural order. Brother.
Exactly. Like, yeah. No,
Okay.
so that would be an insane fight, but I think in the end, like I said, Invictus is gonna come out with the win, whether he snaps his fingers and destroys half the life in the known universe, or it says, you know what, sit down, and I'm just gonna put you in a
Right.
quick suspend animation until I leave the universe, and then until I leave this dimension, and then I'll see you in another 100 years, kid. You got a lot to
Right.
learn, and
And
I'm
I can
here to
only do this
teach you.
four more times because you gonna die in 500. So
Mm-hmm.
get good. We're
Mm-hmm.
almost left.
I'll see you in another
No.
100 years, kid.
Okay. There it is, y'all.
Yeah.
There's the verdict.
Yep.
There's the verdict.
Invictus got it. Does anybody in the chat, anybody watching, have any thoughts on this as well? Definitely pop that in there. Mm-hmm.
Um, but and while we're waiting on that to gear y'all up, next week we have several matches for y'all. Next week, I know I should be completely free next week, and we'll be able to stay on longer, and discuss the Nexus matchup that we posted this week, which was Damien and Moloch. Not only that, we'll be playing a little bit of catch up with our reckoning matches. We have two neat matches, starting with Jupiter Man versus the Reaper. That's going to be a really good one. We do also have a video on Jupiter Man, so you'll see videos sporadically out there. Those are people that were on the original Indie Breakdown show, if you would, the one where we just had those interviews with the creators and stuff like that. We're on off season right now. When that comes back, more on that soon. But that's where those videos are coming from. So yeah, Jupiter Man versus Reaper is going to be intense. So yeah, definitely two matches for you guys next week. Be on the lookout for that. So
Mm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. As for Super Breakdown, we are on a hiatus until May, where we will be starting up our Star Wars May, seeing as how May 4th is Star Wars Day. So all throughout the month, every Sunday, we'll be going over another aspect of Star Wars, especially with the recent announcement of Maul, Shadow Lord, as well as Star Wars Starfighter, and then pretty sure it was something else. They mentioned another film that they're going to be doing on Ray. So we got a lot to talk about. We're going to be diving. If you guys have watched the Super Breakdown, you know that we lean more to the dark side, which, as a triage would say, as a kid, you love Luke Skywalker, you love the light side, but then once you get older, you start to understand the dark side a little bit more. You start to understand the way of the dark side a little bit more. But yeah, if you want to see how we do our Star Wars month, we go all out for our Star Wars month. So all three of us, myself, Triage, Jay included, we're all hardcore Star Wars fans. And Lloyd, by all means, if you and Tashi want to get in on this, we will set it
Oh,
up,
you
get it
already know.
going. Any episode, you already know how it is. If you see that we go and talk about anything, man, it could be literally, we could be mid-show. If you say, yo, I want in on this, you're getting the link.
Say less. Say
You're
less.
getting the link.
It's done.
All right, bet, definitely. Like I said, so we don't know exactly what it is, but like closer to it, we will be locking down what we will be talking about for each week in advance and putting that out there for everyone. But I'm pretty sure that Triage wanted to start in on Revan.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And
Okay.
of course, if you're talking about Revan, you gotta talk about Malik.
Mm-hmm. Off
So
rip.
Off rip. Those are the two. And me, I'm a Darth Bane head.
Okay.
Ever since Trias let me read those, I've been going crazy about it. But yeah, and then other than that, until then, tune in. Me and Triage will be streaming some gaming. Triage is also a Turtles head, hardcore shell head. So we will be streaming some Shredder's Revenge, as well as maybe some Marvel Rivals as well. Just so y'all can still get power Triage until we come back for the full show. But
Okay.
yeah, other than that, if you are in upstate New York, I highly suggest you guys head on out to the Saratoga Comic-Con on May 3rd and May 4th, Saturday and Sunday. They have the entire cast of Red Dead Redemption 2 there, as well as the original Black Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, Walter Jones. He's going to be out there, and a few others as well. It's going to be a great time. Me, Triage, and Jay, we will be heading out there. We are buying our tickets like this week or next week to get out there. We will be out there on a Saturday, on the 3rd. So if y'all see us out there, y'all see us out there. But
Hey.
other than that, man, yeah, it's tune in next week for another, indie versus matchup.
This is perfect. No, well, I was gonna say we just got accepted to Brooklyn Comic Con, so we might need to link up in the next 2-3 months because I think it's in
Ooh.
June. Yeah, so we're gonna link while we up there.
Mm.
I don't know why I keep forgetting that y'all are in New York. So yeah, that's gonna be perfect. I don't know how close y'all are to Brooklyn, but
we're about 3 hours from the city.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll put something on the map. We'll figure it out because we'll be up there. We'll try to get there a little sooner, but we'll talk offline about that.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
yeah,
I have a friend of mine who works a lot of Comic Cons, and she just said, "Hey, I have a business proposal for you. It's gonna be out in June." Hasn't given me any details, so I don't know. So it might be that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, well, regardless, we're gonna link up. Everybody watching. Yeah, and thank y'all for tuning in. I hope y'all are enjoying the Super Breakdown. I know y'all are enjoying the Super Breakdown. They are going to be taking this over soon. So if you guys are enjoying this, every Saturday, as long as they can, right? Every Saturday, this is going to be at the battle commentary. And hey, man, y'all are the group I've been looking for, bro. y'all understand what we're trying to accomplish here, man. So again, I want to say on here again, like I can't say thank y'all enough. I truly appreciate y'all. Y'all understand it. Y'all see the vision. I trust you guys. Y'all are gonna kill it. But yeah, I'll be back on next week to play catch up with these matches that we have and stuff like that. But in the coming weeks, you'll see them pop up. You won't see me, and y'all need to continue to enjoy, continue to support, continue popping out, and continue helping us redefine power scaling in the indie world. So, okay, my wife is telling me I am needed. It is time for me to go. Thank you guys for tuning in, and remember until next time, midnight is coming.
And remember, fuck prep time. Peace.
Love it.
Bitch, I'm proud.